is the Kayfabe News with Coach Jake. Kayfabe, I like kayfabe. The big squeeze is on, the fix is in. Monopoly is the shoot, let's get the pin. Monopoly is the shoot, let's get the pin. Kayfabe News.
All right, what do you guys think about that? Is that cool or what, man? I'm so excited. All right, team. It is February the 25th. It is an amazing time to be alive. And yeah, man, we're live right now. This is your daily Kayfabe News. I hope you guys, if you guys like that that promo, that intro, please let me know. I like it. I think it's good. Okay, guys. The global shoot for today. Put down the dirt sheets. Open your eyes, smart marks. It is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. You are live at the gorilla position for the only political commentary that knows the difference between a work and a shoot. Welcome to the Kayfabe News. I'm your host, the guy who knows who booked the finish before the bell even rang. All right, guys, speaking of ringing the bell, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. We've got to pay the ring crew. Today's episode is brought to you by scientificwrestling.com. Get over to scientificwrestling.com. Listen, brother, the world is full of fake high flyers doing choreographed dances. When you want the real thing, you go to the mat. Scientific Wrestling. No drama, no nonsense. Just pure leverage. Learn the holds that work when the referee isn't looking. Scientificwrestling.com. And also get over to Number One Coaching, numberonecoaching.com. Yeah, it's spelled like this, no1coaching.com, where we help you, your small business, put asses in seats. Head over to numberonecoaching.com, where we will install the Sportify operating system. numberonecoaching.com. All right, thank you for listening to the sponsors. Now let's get to the Combat Sports Minute. Let's kick things off with the real mat because it sets the table for everything else today. It's official. The ink is dry. TKO Group Holdings, the corporate monster that already merged the UFC and WWE, has officially acquired the Professional Fighters League. This following hot on the heels of the AAA Lucha Libre acquisition by WWE. For years, these guys cut promos acting like they were in war for the market share. PFL was the innovative babyface, offering a season format, and UFC, the dominant heel. Wake up, it was all work. Backstage, the promoters knew the end game. Consolidation. They squeezed out the indie territories, killed fighter leverage, and unified the belts under one corporate umbrella. Now, there's only one place to work. If you get fired by TKO, you're wrestling in high school gyms for hot dogs. Keep that mental image because that's exactly what the powers that be are doing in the global economy today. Here is today's Kayfabe Breakdown. Let's look at the political card for today, February 25th. The theme of the night is the big squeeze. Match one, the tag team champions, Big Tech and Big Government, the surveillance squad. The spot, following yesterday's massive central bank digital currency rollout announcement, the major tech conglomerate, Apex Google Soft, just announced a historic partnership with the U.S. Treasury. To access your new Freedom Coin digital wallet, you need a verified biometric digital ID managed by these tech giants. The work? They're selling this as the ultimate babyface team-up. Security, convenience, stopping the bad guys. They want a massive pop from the crowd for making things easier. What's the shoot? This is the most dangerous heel faction in all of history. The government didn't have the tech infrastructure to track every single transaction you make. So they tagged in big tech, who already has the data. It's a classic double team move. One holds you down with laws, the other one hits you with surveillance data. If you get cancel cultured by the tech companies, you now get debanked by the state. The finish? Privacy takes the pinfall. Total information awareness is the new champion. Match number 2 on the card. The steel cage match, the Global Tax Treaty. What's the spot? In Geneva today, the G20 finance ministers are signing the Global Capital Stability Pact. The work, the media referees are calling this a victory for fairness. They claim it's designed to stop billionaires from hiding assets offshore. But what's the shoot? Don't be a mark. Billionaires have lawyers who write these laws. They already have their escape trapdoors built into the cage floor. This is a steel cage match designed to keep the upper middle class, the mobile entrepreneur, and the small business owner locked in. They're terrified of capital flight. So they're raising the walls of the cage so they can tax you until you tap out. And you got nowhere else to run. Match number 3, the comedy squash match, the Senate scandal. The spot, if you turn on cable news right now, all they're talking about is the scandal involving Senator Jenkins and that AI-generated deep fake video. The work, our democracy is at stake. This is the most important story of the day. The shoot, this is distraction heat. It's a comedy match they put on in the mid-card to keep the crowd busy while they rigged the ring for the main event. It has zero impact on your wallet, your freedom, or your future. It's noise. Ignore it. Today's massive action. The booking committee is out of control, and they are booking you to lose. How do you kick out at 2.5? 1, you need to become ungovernable, digitally, that is. If they're demanding biometric ID to use their money, you need to double down on privacy tech. Look into, they've got these graphene operating system phones, learn about privacy coins, the real ones, not ones that are pump and dumps by venture capitalists. Start scrubbing your data footprint, make it harder for the tag team champions to target you. Number 2, find the loose bars in the cage. That new tax treaty is tight, but every cage has a weak spot. Consult with international tax strategists now before the treaty is fully ratified. Look for jurisdictions that aren't playing ball with the G20. If you have portable income, find a bolt hole right now. This TKO merger proved one thing. The big guys will always collude against the talent. In this global ring, you are the talent. Don't let them screw you on the contract. Keep your heads on a swivel. Smart Marks. We'll see you at the next show. All right, guys. Hope you guys are doing good. Let's go back. Let's go to the chat. We've got Jerry saying ring crew works for experience and hot dogs. Ava, first one here. No, I think Jerry might have beat you. Sorry. Yay. No, listen, next time. We're here all the time. Don't know what that means. JSN Prod 123. Go start a family. I love that. I mean, dude, this is so, I want to talk about this for a second. JSN Productions 123. You guys do need to consider starting a family. Sure, are there tax breaks? Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Population collapse is imminent. If you guys aren't tracking this stuff, let me, this book is amazing. This book, okay? The story of population growth, innovation, and human flourishing on an infinitely bountiful planet. For decades, they've been pushing this depopulation nonsense. I mean, obviously guys like Gates and whomever trying to depopulate the planet, and they are succeeding. Testosterone rates are down. The replacement rate is down. I mean, Elon Musk talks about it. Not that that matters that it's him, but this is a big, big issue. So yeah, I like that. JSN, go start a family. Let's see. What do we got? We got upgrade 10:15. You know, Trump saved the American dollar as the world reserve currency. CBDC was coming, but at least we have a choice between cash. Trump should get a little bit of credit for that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm always skeptical of those guys that get into power. I was a fan of Trump for the brief moment after the shot he took to the ear, the assassination attempt. I did like Bobby Kennedy. That's who I was planning on voting for, although I do still believe voting is like betting on pro wrestling matches. I think it's a nonsensical move. And I like Tulsi Gabbard, so he did some good there. But man, he got about 3 months in, and I've just been pretty disappointed. I think he's just left the base. So yeah, maybe Trump helped out with the cash. I don't know. I put, during this last collapse of Bitcoin, I bought some futures on a ETF that is a triple leveraged Bitcoin fund because, first of all, buy low, sell high. But I look at what is going on, and I think they're going to pull kind of a revaluation of the dollar in the way they did with gold under FDR. I have a feeling that's going to happen with Bitcoin. Remember that the U.S. government has the largest Bitcoin wallet. And yeah, so I'm very bullish on Bitcoin right now. And given that, what's the guy who runs Donald's organization now? It's Eric Trump. He's a follower of Scientific Wrestling on Instagram, as crazy as that sounds. So is Johnny Knoxville. We've got like some really great people following us, and I'm very grateful for that. But I know that Eric Trump is very, very heavy into Bitcoin mining right now. And I'm wondering if he knows something that the rest of us don't know. Anyway, yeah. All right. Guys, I'm going to be here for a minute answering questions. Hope you guys are doing good. If you have any questions on your small business. Dude, I charge a lot of money, man. I charge people $50,000 up to $50,000 a year for my services. I was the 2-time 10X performance coach, 2024-25 for Grant Cardone. I have a master's degree in financial engineering. I was involved in mortgage banking and investment banking and developing models and valuations on an $80 billion portfolio. So if you got questions about business, finance, political economy, I was also the chair of the Libertarian Party of Utah, ran for Congress. What else? So I know a little bit about these things. I can also talk to you about wrestling, in particular catch wrestling. I'm very excited. I've got working very, very quickly and on getting this thing published. It's my newest book. If you guys don't know, I've written many books. I've got to be almost close to publishing 24 books, something like that. Maybe it's more than a dozen, maybe not 24. But anyway, I've got 2 of them coming out. My next book is going to be I don't know what you call it. It's very similar to what I wrote with Billy Robinson. Has anybody here read the Physical Chess, the book I wrote with Billy Robinson? Yeah, no, crickets. That was a memoir. And what happened with that is that, I was Billy's right-hand man for 7 years, and he and I sat down and I just basically did a bunch of conversations. Now, I had already done this with Carl Gotch. For those of you that are interested, go to carlgotch.com, KARLGOTCH.com. You're going to have to join the freemium. It's free. You just join the website to get past the pay gate. But hours and hours of conversations. Well, I did that same thing with Billy Robinson. And then what I did is I got those conversations transcribed, and then I backed out me. So then it became just like a continuous thing of him talking, right? I don't even know if that makes sense. But I did that with my conversations with Carl. And I'm very excited to say that book, I just submitted the manuscript to my publisher, ECW Press. and let's see what they say. If they don't bite, I will just publish it myself. I'm happy to do that. It would be faster. I could get it out to you guys right away, but I submitted it today, and I'm pretty optimistic they're going to take it. Then this would be a trilogy. I'd have Say Uncle, I'd have Physical Chess, and then this new book. The running title right now, I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but I do like it. It's No Gas, No Run. And it's basically going to be the god of wrestling, Karl Gotch, talking about his philosophy on wrestling and life. It's a posthumous memoir constructed from conversations. And you can go listen to the conversations, tell me how good of a job I did. Did I do a good job representing? I think it sounds a lot like Karl. I was rereading it last night before submitting it, and I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm very excited for that book coming up. I also am excited for my other book coming up, which is really my own treatise on coaching. I've been very, very lucky to be trained by some of the greatest coaches in the world. Billy Robinson was my coach. Karl Gotch was my mentor. I was coached by Frank Shamrock, 4-time UFC champion, King of Pancrase. And Wade Chalice, distinguished member of the Hall of Fame, Wrestling Hall of Fame, National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and Guinness record holder for the most wins and pins in all of wrestling. And I was able to parlay that, integrate my understanding of coaching with my understanding of business and finance. And that's really where number one coaching comes from, is that integration. And it is business coaching. And it seems to be working. My philosophy seems to be working. Again, I'm the 10X Performance Coach of the Year for Grant Cardone, 2 years running. I'm also the Chief Data Officer for that program. And that book should be shortly coming out right after the book that I did on Karl Gotch. I want to say I did it with him. I've also got an agreement from Joe Malenko, who is a protege of Karl Gotch, to write the foreword on the book. So as soon as I get the go-ahead from the publisher, I will let you know what is next. But guys, you've got to really consider getting to CatchCon. CatchCon.us. CatchCon.us. Check it out. We did this last year. It was the first time I did it since 2003, we've been holding these events. Started out with my first coach, Dick Cardinal. We've had Billy Robinson, Mark Schultz, Wade Chalice, Josh Barnett, Frank Shamrock, Pat Miletich, Joe Malenko. Anyway, we've traveled the world. Marty Jones, Neil Melanson. We've traveled the world doing this. And I'm going to be honest, this is my passion project, one of them. And it was just, I was traveling. I was doing like more than 25 round trip flights a year, traveling around for this. Right. And so, yeah, I don't know, man, it was pretty brutal. And, anyway, my idea was, let's consolidate this into one mega event. And that is CatchCon. So last year we had 8 different coaches. You got 2 certifications. You got a Mace Bell. You could stay in the house, this nice B&B that we got. You could stay in the house with the coaches if you wanted that extra time with them. And we held the season 1 taping of Shoot Pro Wrestling. If you go to shootpro.tv, you can watch it. Let me know what you think about it. And, yeah, I was pretty happy with that, how everything worked out. We had 3 divisions. Each champion won $1,000. We had an under 80 kilo, over 80 kilo, and tag teams. We're doing the same thing this year and adding a women's division. So if you know a woman, like we know how hot women's wrestling is right now, amateur wrestling, folk style, freestyle. I guess it's mostly freestyle, unfortunately. But get over there, man. We're holding this actually very strategically the week after USA Wrestling has the US Open in Vegas. We're literally the next weekend. So if you know an athlete going to Vegas for that, they could stay over. They can make $1,000 plus. Go check it out. Go to shootpro.tv. Watch the footage. You're going to get a professionally produced with a Hall of Fame commentator, a video of your match that you can use. That's part of your ticket. This is an unreal deal. And when you go see shootpro.tv, we have upped our game. We actually are in the Future Stars of Wrestling TV studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to have 5 cameras. It's got a ceiling cam, a fixed cam, a couple roving cams, and then a backstage cam. Smoke machines, lasers. Dude, you're going to want to dress to impress for this, okay? This is going to be amazing. Catchcon.us. You can check it out. Frank Shamrock, UFC Hall of, 4-time undefeated UFC champion, first middleweight champion, holder of Guinness World Records holders for the fastest submission, fastest knockout. He's going to be coaching again. Pat Militant, and he's also the chairman. Frank Shamrock is the chairman of ShootPro.tv. And we've also got Pat Militant, UFC Hall of Famer. Guy is a legend. Not only is he the inaugural welterweight champion and a Hall of Famer, he coached like 11 world MMA champs. Jens Pulver, Robbie Lawler, Matt Hughes. Dude, this guy knows how to coach. He's going to be in person. We've got Rick Brown, Mr. Mace Man. He's coming back. Certify everybody, get everybody trained up on the mace. We've got Joe Malenko, just signed on, Jody Simon, Carl Gotch protege. So I'm really trying to get this book out. I don't know if the publishers can move that fast. If I self-publish, I'll have it out before CatchCon. But Joe Malenko is going to be there. We've got, I'm really excited actually to have Carolyn Wester. I don't know if you've seen Wrestling Prep, but Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, has hired her. Tons. Masvidal has hired her. Like, she is huge. She's going to be there. She is this body mechanics expert, as well as JJ Howland, who is an expert in chain wrestling. He's been coaching camps with Helen Maroulis and Veronica Anthony, Veronica Vortex. Maybe you know her as on Instagram. So, guys, you're going to want to get over to catchcon.us. You can see the whole team. Plus, we've got all the Scientific Wrestling Elite coaches. Well, I don't know if Jesse Merez is going to make it this year. Sadly, I'm not sure. I think he wanted his own slot, but we just got it so full. But all the other coaches have been there. Luis Ojeda, who's the winningest catch wrestling competitor in modern history. We've got Gil Olivas, who runs the Black Flag crew down in Arizona. Very, very highly competitive, highly winning team. We've got Sam Crescent is going to be there. His son just took first place in regionals for CIF, which is a huge tournament. Guys, you don't want to miss this. We've already sold 15% of the tickets, and it is months away. You're going to miss out. This is insane. Go to shootpro.tv. You'll see what we filmed. You just get a smattering of it. Unbelievable opportunity. This is probably the greatest event and best value that you're going to find. I'm just being real here. Just totally being real, right? So, all right, guys, listen, I'm going to jump here in a second. If you have any questions on catch wrestling, on small business, anything like that. Oh, okay. Am I a Jew by Sick Wicked? No, I am a mutt. I don't think I did a 23andMe. I don't think I have any Jewish in me. I have like 1% African, I think. No, Shannon is my last name. That is Irish. And I have Spanish in me from Spain. I have a little Native American in me, and I have Dutch and German. But I was raised a Catholic, but I'm, as Carl Gotch would say, a BWF Catholic, birth, wedding, and funeral Catholic. But I really am not practicing. I'm real big into the whole Jesus vibe. I love the philosophy. I love him as a teacher. But, today's kayfabe news, I keep talking about these consolidations. And I actually, in my 2009 book, Anomaly, Revolutionary Knowledge in Everyday Life, I talk about this concentration of power that is typically something that we have to be aware of and conscious of, and in the words of Thomas Jefferson, eternally vigilant of. And it's just a naturally occurring thing, right? Like this idea of individual liberty that we've been able to experience largely not because of the Constitution so much as the Bill of Rights, the amendments, the first 10 amendments of free speech, self-defense, privacy, trial by jury, those things. That's an anomaly, okay? When you look at human history is largely the history of masters and slaves. And there's this concept in statistics called mean reversion. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but mean reversion, which is the tendency for things to return to average. And I could see it with, these big businesses, these surveillance companies like Palantir and Alex Karp and Peter Thiel and all these. We're heading back towards consolidations. And that's what I'm talking about with, the macro and the micro sometimes mirror each other, as above, so below, right? Toth or whoever said that. But, you can look at this and there's definitely a consolidation of power. And the problem is once you have that consolidation. So for example, when you buy into this dumb left-right nonsense, this tribalism, you're like, oh, yay, Trump or Obama or Biden or whoever did something and got more power. Well, then when they leave, the opposing team has that power now, right? Do you understand? So it's a problem. And we've got to constrain this power. We've got to keep power distributed. And, man, it's not easy to do because everybody's distracted and whatnot. I see a lot of this like anti-Semitism or whatever that's going all around. I think I remember, and I said the word individual liberty. And I think it's important to remember this idea of an individualism as opposed to tribalism, left, right, gay, straight, black, white, all the nonsense. Look, so I look at somebody like, who's hot right now? Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes or somebody like that. And, in particular, maybe somebody like Nick Fuentes goes after Jewish people. And here's my problem. I'm not down with the racism because racism, like sexism, like classism, any of those things, those isms are collectivism, to use a term that I picked up from Ayn Rand. And, here's the problem. Another thing that we're mean reverting to is this idea of scapegoats. And one of the most important things that was enshrined in the Bill of Rights is this presumption of innocence for the individual. And I'm concerned that, look, so somebody like Candace Owens, or in particular, maybe more Nick Fuentes, he claims Catholicism, but is very, lumps Jewish people all together. And this is my problem because, I'm sure he wouldn't want to be lumped in as a Catholic. And because, right now with the Epstein files, all this nonsense that was exposed in that is getting the limelight. But remember, the Catholic Church was really, really kind of the ones that first really got in the news about this years ago in the abuse of children. And so I just want people to remember, like, there are good and bad individuals in every arbitrary grouping. There's good black people, good bad black people, good white people, bad white people. Same for gays or straights or trans or whatever the thing is. We've got to stop lumping people together and start judging people. We've got to go to more of a meritocracy. And again, I use like sports metaphors a lot. It's, my work in catch wrestling and growing this sport, I've really learned to appreciate the beauty of sport where, it unifies people by and large. You can have, like, you go to the gym, you have all kinds of different people show up in the gym, different economic classes, different races, different religions. Everybody just shows up and works out and plays the game. And that's because it's a meritocracy, sports, right? And that's why I'm also against this idea of the work or the fix being in, because it corrupts that. Sportsmanship. I think you can apply it broadly. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any kind of sense. Oh, Jerry, I missed your thing about AI. Oh, I know it says I taught. I don't know that you meant AI. I taught someone how to do a double wrist lock yesterday. Good. Hope you did it right. Billy's looking at you from heaven, man. Making sure. All right, guys, look, we're bumping on time here. I'm going to jump. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. If you have any other questions, I am willing to stay on until 12:30. Remember, catchcon.us. Get over there. Pat Miletich, UFC Hall of Famer. I mean, literally, Pat Miletich, who's just a great human being, by the way, and doing really great work with his cell saviors and soil saviors work. Really amazing stuff. But Pat Miletich and Frank Shamrock are literally the architects of the modern MMA athlete. Literally, like you can watch MMA before them and MMA after them. It's everybody became like them. It's just amazing. This is just amazing. So I would really love for you guys to show up and get in the room. These guys don't have to do that. I'm making the opportunity. And yet, listen, I hear you. Okay. So give me all your objections. Go to catchcon.us and tell me, why are you not signed up yet? Why are you not part of the 15% that's already blowing up and buying all the tickets? It's crazy if you're not. Men, women, old, young, dude, you got to come. Did you see the pictures? How many people we had last year? It was like packed. It was amazing. Go to shootpro.tv. You can see the footage where we filmed season 1 of Shoot Pro Wrestling. And man, it's if you tell me this is too expensive, dude, I don't know what to tell you, dude. You're going to be in front of the greatest coaches, multiple of them, in two days, and then you have a third day you could compete, make $1,000. But here's the deal. I know how expensive it is. A tournament alone is like $200 anymore. Any tournament, like grappling tournament, wrestling tournament, plus you got to pay hotel, all that. I have a ticket tier. I can't remember if it's King of Sport or God of Wrestling, whatever the ticket tier is, where you actually get to stay in the house with us. The Airbnb, we're getting this luxury B&B. I'm going to try to get a big pool, hot tub, all that kind of stuff. We have the food catered. It's an unbelievable bargain. And you think you're spent. Okay, so the tickets, man, anywhere for 3 days. I don't know where you're going to find this crazy value. For 3 days, anywhere from, I think the ticket goes from $650, the cheapest. Well, actually, you can just enter the tournament at $275. You get you get best of 3 falls, chance to win $1,000, and you get a professionally produced reel of your match. Like, dude, for $275 or whatever I'm charging, you could get in to the entire event for $650. You could stay in the house for like $1,000. You could. I'm just telling you guys, it's absolutely nuts if you don't show up. I promise you, dude. This is life-changing stuff. That's why I'm doing it. And if you think you're paying a lot of money, dude, I'm dropping over $50,000. That's how much I spent last year. I haven't done the tally yet on everything so far, but it's probably going to be close, or if not more. You got to see this venue that we're in. I put some, if you're able to go to the Scientific Wrestling Instagram, I put some photos of the venue. It's amazing. It's amazing. Dude, we're going to have like jumbotrons and lasers and smoke and 5 camera angles. You got to get in. I would suggest you go over to shootpro.tv. SHOOTPRO.tv. You can watch all the old matches we've had. We've done competitive professional wrestling. First time in like 100 years, and we've innovated. We took some of the tropes of pro wrestling, tag teams, cage matches. We've held the first professional wrestling cage matches that are competitive, the first competitive tag team tournament, and we crowned champions. Singles matches. Now we're doing women's matches. We've done an Ironman match. Guys, unbelievable. The energy, everything's amazing. I've got so many cool things up my sleeve that I can't talk about just because the ink isn't dry. I'd love to see you over there. And then the other thing that I'm really excited about, I told you about my work integrating business and sports. And it's this concept that I've been publishing about. It's called Sportify. And basically what it is, and I'm going to nerd out here for just a second. If you've ever looked at the concept, I'm a software guy. I've worked in software for years and years and years. My wife and I own a company in software, and I like that space. It's an interesting space, but they talk about this concept of gamification. Gamification, and if you don't know gamification, you're going to in a second because you've been party to it many times. Oh, you like my new mic? By the way, I got a whole new setup. I got a little studio here. I want to get that steam cleaned so you don't see the creases in the black. But yeah, anyway, gamification is this idea of like badges, leaderboards, awards, things like that. I've extended past that to include gamification plus coaching, and I call it sportification or Sportify. I've written a couple books. I got my new book coming out. We're developing actually a kind of a jumbotron. It's like a dashboard for CEOs, as well as an AI assistant coach to help you make decisions based on this Sportify philosophy. And again, my partners, Pat Miletich and Frank Shamrock, are involved with this through Number One Coaching and Sportify. So if you have a small business, and typically, I'm going to be real, you may not be able to afford us unless you're over, I'm going to say probably $2 million a year in revenue. I mean, I'll look at everybody case by case, but you're going to get Pat Miletich, Frank Shamrock, and myself coming to do a seminar with your staff on performance, on resilience, on grit, on grind, on winning. Plus, you'll get business coaching and access to the Sportify operating system. We will install that. I'm going to install that in your business. And plus also all our sales and marketing training that's powered by 10X, Cardone Training Technologies Incorporated. It's an insane value, guys. I'm just telling you, you're going to love it. All right, guys, I see you guys are kind of dead. I see a lot of people creeping, watching, but I don't see anybody commenting. I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning into the Kayfabe News. We will be back. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm trying to make this a regular thing. Let me know in the comments, likes, follow, all that kind of stuff. Share it if you enjoyed this show. Appreciate the hell out of you guys, and we'll talk very, very soon. Oh yeah, let me exit with the with my new. Tell me which one you like better. Okay, you like this one? Oh wait, let me put the music on too. Here's the music. Tell me if you like this one.
This is the Kayfabe News with Coach Jake. Kayfabe, I like kayfabe. The big squeeze is on, the fix is in. Monopoly is the shoot. Let's get the pin. Monopoly is the shoot. Let's get the pin. Kayfabe News.
Okay, so there is that one. Or do you guys like this one?
This is the Kayfabe News with Coach Jake. Kayfabe, I like kayfabe. The big squeeze is on, the fix is in. Monopoly is the shoot. Let's get the pin. Monopoly is the shoot. Let's get the pin. Kayfabe News.
All right, I don't know if you guys like all that. All right. Oh, we did get another person in the chat. Sorry, I was too busy trying to show you guys my thing. What's the question here? Trump didn't do shit except for spend more of our tax money. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, this is my problem, dude. Like, And I'm glad you brought up the tax thing. The income tax was, I one of the guys that got me into my grad program. I got a master's degree in financial engineering. I don't know if you ever heard that. I got that degree way back in 2002, bro. So we're clocking almost 25 years ago. Nuts. I got my graduate degree. So I don't know if you know what financial engineering is, but it is basically the idea of using mathematics, computer programming, and exotic financial instruments to create new financial instruments. Okay, this is like derivatives, options, swaps, forwards. And it's like a gun. You can't blame financial engineering. It's how it's used. Like a gun can be used for good or it can be used for evil. And this is the same thing with financial engineering. Anyway, I'm a nerd for this stuff. And the income tax, I got into grad school for financial engineering, largely two people. One guy, his name is Jeffrey Rogers Hummel. And he's an author, and he was a member of the faculty. And at the school I went to, at the grad school I went to and ended up graduating from. And he was one of them. Joe Feurig, rest in peace. He was the dean of the business school of the economics department, and he was the one who pushed me. And then Jeff kind of inspired me. The two of them tag teamed to get me moving. And Jeff Hummel wrote a great book called Emancipating Slaves, Enslaving Free Men. And it was a history of Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War. And, Abraham Lincoln, when you don't look very deep at it, Abraham Lincoln was this big hero. And I like Abraham Lincoln. He's in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. He was an incredible wrestler. He gets credit for freeing the slaves. But the argument the Hummel makes is that, yeah, okay, he freed the slaves, but at what cost? So the Civil War was when the first income tax was levied. And then very shortly thereafter, maybe 25, 30 years later, give or take, it was made permanent. And Hummel draws the responsibility for the income tax being ratified in 1913 originally back to Lincoln. And it was this idea, and this is not a crazy idea. This is an idea Robert Nozick, who wrote Anarchy, State, and Utopia, highly regarded. I met him one time in Berkeley. He, very, very sharp thinker, wrote this thing called The Tale of the Slave. And basically he said, that the income tax is effectively slavery. And this is the idea that Hummel's extrapolated on about with enslaving or emancipating slaves, enslaving free men, that effectively, I think how much of let's say 40% of what you earn goes to tax. So that means you are effectively a slave, meaning if you don't pay it, you go to jail. And if you resist, you're killed for 4 months, or 5 months, however many months out of the year, 40% of the year, your labor goes to pay the state. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you have no control over the spending. We know there's massive fraud. Doge was actually great in that regard. Getting rid of U.S. aid was great. Mike Benz does great work on that. But the challenge here is that the income tax is still there. There was some talk of him using these tariffs, which got struck down as unconstitutional. So who knows where that's going to go. It's just more tax, and you end up paying for it, by the way. All tax, right? You're the taxpayer. Remember that. So do you really want your money going to bombing innocent people in different countries that you never met? Do you want your money going to be defrauded by daycares in Minnesota? Do you want your money to be paying for this weird ring of wackos in the Epstein file? I mean, dude, I don't, but I have no control over that. And so it is taken from us forcibly. I would love to see the 16th Amendment repealed, replaced with nothing. Yeah. So that is a problem. The national debt is creeping up on $39 trillion. It's so hard to fathom how big of a number that is. Really, we have a nice word for it, but and look at inflation, which is a hidden tax. I will say this: I've been concerned with these issues since I was an undergraduate. I first this stuff first came on my radar when I went to undergrad, and I think I really flipped and became committed to these ideas in 1990, let's call it 92, 93. So for a long time, over 30 years. And man, out of undergraduate, I moved to San Francisco, which is where I got my master's degree. And you want to talk about a weird place to be a libertarian, small government type in the Bay Area, especially in the 90s. Oh my gosh, it was difficult. But yeah, man, I don't know. If my problem with politicians is what I've said again, but going back to my 2009 Anomaly book, politics is pro wrestling. Voting is like betting on pro wrestling. It's nonsense. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it's a charade. We've got oligarchs. You don't have control. I don't have control. Not at this level of the game. The rhetoric, the promos that they cut it's not a shoot. It's fake. Kayfabe, right? And Pig Latin. How do you say fake in Pig Latin? Kayfabe. Oh, are you clicking on what kayfabe actually is? Anyway, if the politicians really, really wanted to create an economic stimulus for us, not for them, for us, for all of the people maybe tuning into this, you would get rid of the Federal Reserve, 1913 Federal Reserve Act, and you would get rid of the 1913 16th Amendment. And you would probably that same year get rid of the 17th Amendment as well. But will we ever see that happen? I don't know. Like I said, there's this idea of mean reversion, and all of human history is the history of masters and slaves. And it seems like this freedom thing was a blip. I'm in my 2012 book, Endonomics, like economics, but end. Very, very prescient book. I was shocked at how much inflation they actually would do. I didn't think they would do it, but we still stand at this risk, this massive risk of deflation. I think everybody now, I've never seen it more libertarian. This is kind of where I was going ultimately. And since 93, I've been pushing for these ideas, writing books, having radio shows, podcasts, doing interviews, all this stuff. And I've never seen it more, whatever you want to call it. I call it libertarian because that's the word I use for it, but concerned with individual freedom, the things that the Bill of Rights is supposed to enshrine. I've never seen it more concerned about that stuff than now. And it's amazing. I see more people, quote unquote, awake. I hate that metaphor, but awake to the importance of human liberty and freedom and freedom of speech, right of self-defense, privacy, all that. I've never seen more people awake to it than today. More people skeptical of government on both sides. So in my 2012 book, Endonomics, which I talk about the end of the United States, I talk about deflation. I'll explain that briefly. I called myself an apocalyptimist. That I am concerned. I'm worried that we're maybe past the tipping point. 39 trillion is a lot. I explained why I'm bullish on Bitcoin. They may numerate the debt in Bitcoin, like they did gold, like FDR did with gold. Bitcoin would go crazy. But $39 trillion in debt is insane. That is like, you don't even understand. I mean, if you try to write that number, you would be shocked to see how many zeros it is. So what I want you to understand is, I think most people understand how inflation works. This is what I describe in Endonomics. Most people today have gotten wizened up about fractional reserve banking and how money is created out of thin air, but with this relationship between the U.S. Treasury giving bonds to the Federal Reserve, and it's just basically creating money, and it's through this lever of interest rates that the Federal Reserve Board chairman is in control of. But what few people understand is how deflation works. If you take the $39 trillion in debt and then add to that the quadrillions, bigger than trillions, quadrillions in derivative liabilities. So inflation happens when you inject fake money. You just create it out of thin air. You just inject more money into the system and it dilutes the existing money's value, right? It just inflates. What happens? How do you pull money out of the system? How do you deflate? You do that when you default on the debts. So if you understand, our entire financial system has now become built on debt with the passage of the Federal Reserve Act and the lack of sound money. It's just an IOU based on the strength of the military, frankly, the standing armies and the Navy. So, well, now the Space Force and all the other crazy tech they've got cooking. At some point, so if you've ever tried to get a mortgage and your debt to income ratio isn't correct, meaning the person lending you the money says, hey, I'm worried about your ability to repay the debt. Your income is not enough for the debt you're taking out. When that reaches a certain tipping point, you're bankrupt. Well, the United States government, who is a person, has been bankrupt for a long time, and it's just getting worse. So now the interest rate on the debt, the income tax that you and I pay, doesn't even cover the interest. That's where the income tax goes, by the way, to pay the interest on it. And most of that now we're finding was probably fraud or fought for wars for other countries, not for the United States interests. Okay. So what is it going to take for us as humans? You know, this is the thing. Like, I think the founding fathers get a lot of heat because they did make some mistakes. I mean, it's easier always to judge from today's standards. Yeah, they had slaves, like they did some awful stuff. I mean, Benjamin Franklin, man, they found like bodies buried on his. I mean, I don't know what's going on with those guys. But on the flip side, they did create a system of government that did allow a lot of people to be free and allowed us to have free speech and allowed these. So I'm not giving them a blanket pass. I'm like giving them credit where it's due and condemnation where it's due. It's not just throw the baby out with the bathwater. But yeah, there was some bad stuff, no doubt. But the thing I will say about them is that somebody like, say, Washington or any of these guys, they were wealthy. And they put it all at risk. They couldn't. Had Washington not crossed the Delaware that night, freezing, this whole situation could be different. We could be a British colony. I mean, look at England right now. You go to jail for posting a meme. Like, there are literal problems with immigrants raping people because of, I mean, there's problems, right? And anyway, I just don't know if we have the guts and the grit to fight. And I'm not saying anything violent. Of course, I'm a fan of Gene Sharp. I had him on my old radio show. You need to look up Gene Sharp. That guy was sick. Awesome dude. Rest in peace. About nonviolent noncompliance. You know, the Henry David Thoreau style. You know, Thoreau, who inspired MLK, Gandhi, all those guys. Henry David Thoreau, white dude. What did they call the movement he was part of? I can't remember the name of it. I should remember this from my undergraduate days in the English guy. But Henry David Thoreau came up. You know, that was a tax protest. He didn't want to pay a tax for a war, or was it? Maybe it was an election tax or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's what started the whole nonviolent resistance ideas. We need to really start banding together. The problem is this thing. Dopamine. And we all like look down our nose at our kids playing video game, addicted to it, but all of us are. And look, even here, I'm relying on this to get this message to you. But you got to I wrote this little phrase, trying to be clever. Don't let your cell phone replace the idea of self-own. You tracking? You tracking? So I would love it, guys. I mean, imagine, Thomas Massey was able to get the Epstein files released. That wasn't Trump, dude. He was saying it was a hoax. His staff was lying about it, and they campaigned on it. So that rhetoric, that pro wrestling thing, it's at work. You can't affect change, but you got to be persistent. You got to be loud. All right, guys, you guys are quiet, man. I see a bunch of you watching. So I'm going to jump unless there's any questions. Appreciate the heck out of you guys. I'm going to get back to helping some people turn their businesses around, 10x their income. If I can help you guys, hit me up on the chat or in the DMs. Again, like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. And we'll hit you next time.